Good afternoon. I'm creating this support video to walk you through how to integrate GAFE products with Edmodo assignment tools. So let's begin. First thing you want to do is choose the group that you're going to be assigning the task to. Then create the assignment. So you create the assignment by clicking on assignment, then give it a title, a brief description of what the students would be expected to do. Your description might be similar to this, specifically because we're going to be integrating GAFE products with our assignment turn-in. So please read that carefully. It's really important that your users share back evidence that they've completed the task. Assign a due date, so when you're creating it, the due date assignment is in the top right. And don't forget you have the option to actually schedule the message. And then link. Now the link that I've attached here, that's where we get into the Google environment or the Google domain. So I'm just going to save this off and then walk through how or where this Google link came from. So the first thing when I went into my Google environment, I created 3 things. So the first thing you need to create is a Google form. So you go to New, More, and then select Google Forms. And when you do that, you'll start to build an actual Google form. You can adjust your form settings here. If it is an evaluation for your students, my recommendation is click off so students can only respond once at first. Unless you specifically want them to use this as a tool to practice repeatedly, one response should be enough. So once you've done that, then you need to give it a title. Give it a general description of what the task is. Usually you would assign an expectation of the task here. And then I always start with the first being the name. Now it's important here that when you enter your question title, try and keep it short. No more than maybe 2 or 3 words. So I'm trying to keep them as short as 1 word. Now there's a purpose for that, and I'll explain it in a minute. You can explain what the actual question is in the help text section. So the first question is set as text, but there are many different types of questions that you include, or you could include in your forms. And then when you're finished that one, click Done. Once you've created your Google form that you're going to be using to evaluate your students, and they're going to prove it on Edmodo, then you can click View Responses. In View Responses, it's going to take you to the actual spreadsheet. Now, what you could do as well is you could click View the Live Form and actually complete it. The next thing that you would have to do is, in the following columns to the right of the questions that have been sent in the response, please type in, based on the number of questions, the headers question 1, question 2. If there are more questions, just add the number of questions in each column. The next step is, when you're done all of your questions, put in a total column. The total column is where you're going to be adding up all of the performance values for each of the questions altogether. And then a percentage if you wish to calculate the percentage. And finally a message. And the message will be what you would like to convey specifically to the student based on their performance. So what do we do with all these columns? Well, the first thing you would need to do in question 1 is you have to generate the equation here. Now the equation states for question 1 that if the value found in E2, so the first question is here, the output in the sheet is found here. So in question 1 you want it to, in this cell you want it to look at whatever was put into E2, and if E2 is equal to E string 2, well, then you can mark it as a 1, or it will auto-mark whatever's in there in that cell. So when you get another value sent to you, or sent to your form, and the form is submitted in here, what it will do is it'll cross-reference every single student's scores with this second row, because the second row has all of the correct answers. So I've entered that as a model answer key. So when it says E string 2, it's going to cross-reference every value in all of the E cells throughout that column. It will also do the same thing with F. So for question 2, you'd have to put equals if bracket F2 equals F string 2, comma 1, comma 0 bracket. And you'll notice that when you execute that, question 1 and question 2 are both going to say 1 because they're the correct answers, because we've identified them as the correct answers. And then for total, the equation required here is equals sum bracket G2 colon H2. Why? Because we're summing the values of the scores for G2 and H2, which is G2 colon H2. And then when you enter that, the total score is 2, which is 2 out of 2. Then you can generate your percentage calculation in column J. And the percentage calculation is simply equals, it'll take the value of the total divided by 2, and then use the star, which means multiply, by 100. And that will enter, and that will give you your percentage score related to the answer key. One other thing that you would need to do here is the message. Now message is a little bit tricky because you're going to be entering a string. String is just a code that you want the spreadsheet to output to each person's sheet individually, depending on their score. So in the message section, you want to enter equals if bracket. Now what it's going to do is going to look at your total score. So the total score would be an I2. So if I2 is greater than, in this case, let's just say greater than 1, but you can create your benchmark. So let's say you had 10 questions. If 7 correct out of 10 was a pass, then you would say if I2 is greater than 7, comma, in quotations, congratulations, and then enter your message. Enter your end with your punctuation, and then enter the quotation. Then put a comma, and then space, then start a new quotation. What'll happen is, if your participants, if they score really high, they will get the first message, which would be congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And then if they don't, if they score below the cutoff that you've set in your score sheet, they'll receive the second message. And in this case, the second message is, please review the questions and your responses to find out what went wrong and contact me with any questions that you may have. So, and you have to put that in quotations as well. So if you follow the same format and click enter, again you'll see that the actual message that was generated from that code is the congratulations message. Why? Because the person has achieved the cutoff in the answer key. Alright, next what you would need to do is, to get this to auto mark, the first thing you want to do is get the add-on called Copydown. And then click Copydown settings. You have to allow it, set all the permissions. And then once you've activated and you're running Copydown, you want to click the off-on button and turn it on. Now it's going to look automatically to formula row 2. So we've just entered some formulas into some of the cells, and it will automatically review and recognize them. You want it to copy down all of those formulas from this point on. It's really important. That means anytime any student fills in a form and completes it, all of their data will be auto-calculated. Makes it easy for you so you don't have to do it later. Or you won't have to do it by hand. Okay, so now that that's done, there's one other thing that you would need to do. So the third part of the document, so we've got our Google form, we have our Google Sheet. You need to create a Google document. Google document. Now to create a Google document, same as making a Google form, you would simply click on New and then go to Google Docs and then start up a new one. Now this Google document is special because it's called a template. So you're going to make a template and you're going to run a script from your Google Sheet, and that script will grab the template, import all of the important information related to what that student did in their performance into the template, and then email it to them. and it does it automatically. All you have to do is set it up, and I'm walking you through the steps now. Now, we have to show the software how to recognize the specific features from the sheet in the template. And we do that using these greater than, less than symbols around specific header words. Okay, so this template is specifically for and individualized, created for the students that complete the Edmodo platform evaluation, just the pretend platform evaluation that I've created. And what it will do is automatically state at the beginning, congratulations, and then it says the double arrow first. Now what does that mean? Well, if we go back to the actual spreadsheet, first would be the first name of whatever was entered by that person who completed the evaluation. That means when the template is auto-generated for that person, it's going to say their first name. It will actually personalize the form for that individual. You can even include a comment with your email address if the students need to contact you via this message. Another useful tool as well. And then what I like to do is I'll put in the actual question name and then enter this, your answer. And you'll notice anything that is surrounded by the double arrows, that's a header. Remember I said to just use one word? This is why it's so important to only use one word in your header. Because when you're trying to link your sheet, your Google Sheet, to your Google document using scripting, it will only use those headings from the questions in the sheets or in the Google form, which has, again, been imported into the sheets. So the headings have to be clear and they should be short, ideally. You'll also find that question 2, the question's been outlined here, and that the person's response, again, in the double arrow. The overall score, I'm representing it as a total. I have to enter this text because it wouldn't show up otherwise, so it's a total, only the number would appear out of 2. And then the statement, therefore you have earned a percentage of. Again, the percentage will be drawn directly from the cell over here. So whatever the person received, that would be auto-calculated by the Copydown function. And finally, this message. Now this message, again, is the same message that would have been auto-generated here by the script that's been entered, and Copydown function will create it for you. Okay, so now what? Well, now we've created all 3 parts. We've created our Edmodo assignment. We've created a Google form. The Google Sheet's almost ready to go, and we've created a Google Doc template. Now you go back to your Google Sheet, and there's one more add-on you need to run. It's called Autocrat. So you have to download or activate Autocrat, allow it to work in your Google Sheets, and then turn it on. Now once Autocrat is on, you want to create a new merge job. Now sometimes this takes a little while, usually it's not too bad. Now we have to go into our Google Drive and locate it. I can't remember where I put it, but I do remember that it started with the word template. So what you can do is, you can put in template, Edmodo, platform, and then search for it. And it came up. So then I'm going to select that document. And Autocrat will automatically look at the tags in the headers, and it's going to compare them and match them up perfectly for you. So I'm just going to call it, you want to give the Autocrat merge document a name, so Edmodo platform template should be fine. And you'll notice that the tags are already matched. Looks good, then click Save. Now, file naming convention. What we're getting into here is Autocrat's going to start to create the emails for you in the Google document. So it wants to create a file and naming convention for every time it sends out a Google document. It will record a copy for you for your record keeping. I prefer to include a timestamp at the beginning. You don't have to, it's up to you. You can also include the person's first name, and you can include the name of the assignment. So Edmodo platform. And then you want to email it. So the email is going to, you have to put in the email address. So what I'm doing is I'm highlighting the string at the top. I'm going to drag it down, and it will auto format it and put it right in for me. Subject would be the Edmodo, again, platform assignment. And then here you can just put a simple congratulations. You can grab the string's name, first name. You have completed the assignment. Please review the attached GDoc with a summary of your work and results. Something like that. Then click on the advanced arrow at the bottom. Now down here, there's a bunch of different things because you can get it to run at certain time intervals, or you can get it to run whenever anybody finishes the form. So I'm going to click automatically run. Now the next thing you need to do is click save, but there's been a glitch with the system in Autocrat, and I talked to the developers and they still can't identify exactly why it's there. Regardless, how do you bypass it? Here's a trick. Go anywhere up above, click the space bar, and then backspace it just to where it was, and you'll notice that the save button is now active. Click on save and it will save all of the features. Once this is complete, you're ready to merge your document. So the next thing you need to do is actually click up here on the document and then click run. Now we can preview it first if you'd like. When you click on preview, it's going to give you an image of what the actual template will look like for the most part. Some of the formatting is a little off, but it's usually pretty close. So it's going to build the preview and give you a chance to look at it. If you like the way it looks, then you're good to go. You'll notice here, congratulations test, that's the first name of the person who actually completed it. The answer that was posted, those are correct, they're put in. 2 out of 2 is the score, the percentage is right, and the message went. Good, so now click on that and then run the merge. Now there's only one document in there, so when it runs the merge this time, it's going to send out the email. From this point on though, it will run the merge automatically. You'll never have to do it again because we set it. Okay, so what I've done now is I've signed in as a student, no longer as a teacher. And as a student, I'm going to have to complete that assignment and take the emailed assignment that's sent to me and attach it to the Edmodo platform assignment. So I'm going to click on OK. Now the reason that happened is I've assigned it so that anybody that's going to complete this form has to sign into their account. So they should ideally have a Gmail account. So the first thing I'm going to enter here is and then enter a choice. Okay, and the score has been recorded. So now what I need to do is I have to turn in the actual response that I receive. So I have to check my email and see if I can find it. Aha, there it is. So it just popped up. Okay, so I've got my new message now. I can see I scored 1 out of 2. Please review your questions. So I can send an email to my prof if I need to. And now I'm going to share this back with my teacher on Edmodo. Again, what's the purpose of doing the Edmodo share? Well, for Edmodo, I tend to use it specifically for sharing evaluation scores with my parents. The kids can see the evaluations too, but it's more important for the parents see it. So the student can click on, they can just click done or type in the word done, and then they can attach their link. Now that link that they're turning in, they can call it evidence of Edmodo platform assignment completion. They don't have to enter anything really, but that's essentially what this is, and then they click turn in. And that's done. Okay, now toggling back to the teacher account. Well, a student's already completed the assignment and they've turned it in. So they completed the Google form, they received the automatic email that was sent back to them with their score, and now they're turning in their score. So let me see. Oh, Go student has finished their work. And they posted evidence. So I want to have a look at what Go student did. Aha, they've turned in the correct. So what I'm looking for is the document attached properly? Good. Does it show evidence that they completed the task? Yes. So now what I could technically do is I can set the grade to whatever they've earned. So in this case, it could be 50 out of 100 if that's the grade, and that's it. I can even add a comment here if I wanted to specify a comment again, but not necessary. What I usually do is, if I'm going to be doing formative evaluation, I'll give more detailed, specific feedback using another app in GAFE products called Doctopus, which uses rubrics, and that's a completely different story. But I hope you enjoyed this one. Take care.